Hi, I'm Yvonne from Pree Designs Papercraft. Thanks for dropping by my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how I've put together this bauble chocolate holder. I designed it from scratch. I hadn't seen it done before. When I saw the catalogue and when I saw the Ornamental Christmas die set. This is the die set. I like to do one of these for each of my dies and coordinate the stamps that go with it as well. So this is what we're going to use here. Of course, you could use a circle die if you've already got a circle die, but this is the piece that I think just finishes it off beautifully, and it's the little holder or top of the bauble. I'm going to also use the upside down, the Traditions of Christmas papers, which are absolutely stunning, and they have that beautiful bit of gold foil in it, which makes it very, very elegant. So to get started, I'm bringing in my dies. This is your die set, and I'm going to use the circle and also the little tag topper. I've already gone ahead, or actually I probably should show you the back. I've cut the circle out of the back of this cardstock piece as well. When I first designed it, I didn't do that, but the chocolate being so thick, I couldn't get these two layers to actually stick together. So you do need to cut the circle out of the back of the cardstock as well. So I've already done my cardstock layer just for ease. And this is the circle out of the Ornamental Christmas dies. I've also brought in a circle from the Stylish Shapes dies, and this is my all-time favorite die set because it's so versatile. You could use a punch if you don't have this die set. Nice and easy to do. And then you're going to put your circle die on top and then center your Stylish Shapes one that has a little stitching around the edge. So I'll go away and die cut that. Okay, here are my pieces. So you can see I just used a bit of scrap DSP or designer series paper. That little circle I'll use on something else. And then that's my stitching one. And then this is my die from the Ornamental Christmas set. Then I also need to die cut the little topper. To do that, and so that you've got it for both sides, I've just folded a little piece of foil over. When I die cut this, I'm going to put the die so that it doesn't cut the top. It's going to actually keep the fold there at the top. So again, I'll go away and die cut that. Okay, so I'm back with my little die cut piece. And because I put the die just above the edge of the die, sorry, I put the paper just under the edge of the die there, I've actually got it folded. So that's actually a little technique called partial die cutting. So I've got my elements there. I've then also put in a little piece of ribbon that this is actually now retired. It was on our last chance list, but I don't believe it's on there anymore. It was on our online. It's just a little bit of gold thread or gold ribbon. It's nice and thin, so I'm sure you've probably got something that you could use in your craft stash. So I'm just going to tie that into a knot. Then I can trim that off later, just so that I can loop it through my little bauble topper. Right, now to get started in putting the pieces together. I'll bring in my chocolate. Now, my favourite is a limp ball. You could probably do this with a Ferrero Rocher, but I'm not sure. I haven't done that because obviously these are my favourite. But with these ones, because you've got the wrapper at the top of the bottom and the bottom, that'll actually hold it to my bauble. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in my glue, move that out of the way, and simply, this is a very, very easy little thing to do. Bring my chocolate in, place my bauble over the top. Want to tuck those little bits of the edge of the chocolates in, and then to hold it in place, you could use paper clips, which I've got some here. Anything that's just going to hold that in place until the glue starts to set. So just put some more paper clips around the edges. I'll just get that started, and then I will tuck in the excess bits of the wrapping from the chocolate. So I think you could probably use anything that's got a little bit of a wrapper at the top and the bottom so that that will hold it to the bauble. And this is great because it's also got a clear end of the wrapper. So that's it so far. Probably should have turned that around so you could see the nice, lint on this side. Then I'm going to simply get this little piece ready, which I've got my thread through there so that once I've put it on, a little bit of glue, and I want the good side because I've got old plates, so I've got all that tarnished edge, a little bit of glue on each side, and then I'm going to hold that into place, and again with a paper clip. Paper clips make it crafting easy, holds everything into place nicely. Okay, then I'll set that aside to dry. Then while that's drying, I'm going to make my little tag. Now I've used the traditional labels stamp set, and I'm using the sending cheer just because I thought that was appropriate for my bauble. So I'm going to Versamark, stamp in Versamark ink and then gold emboss. Now because the stamp is in two separate pieces, I'm actually going to stamp it separately so that I get them nice and close, because then I want to use this little tag. Of course, you could use any tag that you've got, but this is how I like to stamp when I'm doing two single stamps. So I've stamped the first one, bring in my embossing powder, set that, get rid of that excess I don't need. Be very careful because once you touch that embossing powder without it being set, it could lift off. And then I can see where I've stamped, so I can get my sending nice and close, stamp it in, bring in my embossing powder again, cover the stamped image, and then heat set. And I'll just get rid of that little bit of excess. If you do get excess on your work, long tool, I actually like to use my take your pick tool and just scratch off the excess rather than a paintbrush, because that's got bristles and sometimes they're a little bit flyawayish and you're going to get more off than you actually wanted. And now I'll go and heat set that. Okay, now that that's heat set, I'm going to use my die from the Christmas, it's called Traditional Labels die set. So I'm just going to use this little one here. I've actually already done that and got that ready. It just sits beautifully and fits that sending cheer in beautifully. And then I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals. Now I'm just going to take that off the side there. Okay, a couple of little dimensionals. Now, rather than stick the dimensionals on the back of the tag, because I don't know where that's going to sit, I actually will put the dimensionals straight onto the bauble, because I know roughly where I want the tag to sit. Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Paper's already off. I usually use my paper piercing tool or take your pick tool to get the papers off, just because I find that easier. Get rid of that one and then stick my little tag on, and then take all my paper clips off, and there you have it, my little bauble complete with a lint ball. So you could put any little tag on there. I hope you found this helpful. I just had a lot of fun creating this. As I said, when I first saw this die set, I thought, how can I make a little chocolate treat? And I came up with this idea. Thanks for watching.